Greetings, everyone. That's right. It's the Boxing Source once again, and I have a great guest with me here joining me. Of course, one of the great promoters here in the sport of boxing has been very busy over the past week or so. I say about the past month, and still has a lot that is coming up. And that is the leader of Samson Boxing, Mr. Samson Lewkowicz. How you doing, bro?
Very good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I know that I had seen you this past weekend as one of your fighters who did have a big win over the weekend in Washington, D.C., as Roiman Villa got the decision win there in that particular fight card. And I know that you were very happy with your guy's performance there, and like kind of go through how that came down when he got the decision win there in Washington, D.C.
Well, I was worried about it. I jumped because I thought that it will be for a local, because actually Ellis, he was the local kid. You know what I mean? He have everything on his favor. But whoever saw the fight without to see him with the heart, if not with the brain, you have 5 good rounds, 5-0, and in the 6th round, everything changed. In the 8th, it was probably lost the 8th, but all the rest, it was belong to Villa. And the last 10 seconds, he lost the fight by himself, because that point, it cost him a draw or losing the fight.
Yeah,
but
Rashid. Yep.
I'm very surprised that people talk about, from his heart and not from what happened.
Yeah. Now, the thing with Roiman Villa, was there, with the photography for the fight. I kind of noticed that he had a different type of approach into fighting Rashidi Ellis in the 4th round. I just seen him like coming forward and would not stop coming forward. And he said, you know what? I don't think that Rashidi Ellis could really affect me with his punches. So I'm going to just come forward. I'm going to close him up, and I'm going to do damage while coming forward. And he eventually wore down, Rashidi Ellis. But also, when he was coming forward, he was giving, little movements here and there while, Rashidi Ellis was trying to jab. So he couldn't really land that much like he was in those first 4 rounds, there against Roiman Villa. So Villa kind of, was giving him skills and things like that. And I think that people kind of overlooked that from Roiman Villa going into the fight that was Saturday.
Well, I was in the dressing room with the Villa, with my father, and I see the trainer. I never get involved. The trainer told him, give the first 5 rounds to see what he have. And then we start to work from the 6 and up. That it was the plan. The only problem we have, that Ellis didn't have no plan. I believe that he feel that he have a walk in the park, because he was a cherry pick when he picked my guy. He never thought that he can lose. He was so confident. And my guy told him in the press conference when he stayed to say about the fight of Villa, he said, I want to fight Ennis, the next one. So that you have no respect for my fighter. And my fighter say that smile, he will not smile after the fight. And this is exactly what happened. God, look, all this, the flamboyant and all that stuff, God work in a very strange way. And I believe that the way was to give him that win to the guy who deserved, the guy who went forward the 12th round.
Yeah.
In different ways. 6th round in one way, 6th round in another way. But it was all planned. It was not by mistake.
Gotcha. And I know that, with Villa, he had experience in like those fights that were scheduled for 12 rounds He's had one fight before it. That was his 12-round bout, full 12-round bout, and he's had a couple more 10-round bouts. So he was, definitely ready to, go from round 1 to round 12 and had that same type of pace. And that ended up paying off for him very well in the tail end of the fight, where he scored 2 knockdowns. But I thought, watching live, I thought it was 3.
No, excuse me, it was 3.
Right.
That is the reason I jump, because I say to myself, if the ref he didn't give it that particular knockdown, what happened with the judges? But the judges was very, very fair. Even myself, I was happy with the draw. But on the last 10 seconds, I believe that maybe you need to blame the corner to say, listen, you have the fight won. Don't take chance, and walk, try to avoid him, use your speed, do not engage. But he decide, because he have a heart like a lion, he decide to engage, and that it was the mistake, and he lost his undefeated fight. That's all.
Yeah. And with that result, that was a IBF welterweight eliminator bout there. So that kind of like presents Roiman Villa to be there pretty much like ranked around number 2 when the new IBF rankings come out. So with that being said, does that like kind of have him in position to potentially fight who is currently now the interim IBF welterweight champion, Jaron Ennis?
100%. That is the fight that the people want to see too. Ennis didn't have the best night. I like him very much as a person, well educated. Every time he see me, I don't need to go and check his hands. He's coming to me to check his hands. That is show the respect of a man. He's a great fighter. It's a tough fight. It will be like it was Ellis, the favor, maybe not so much 5-1, but it be maybe 3-1. But it be a great fight. But look, I believe that it will be a full champion if Henny win the fight with Lomachenko. So for June and July, it need to be a mandatory with Villa, regardless if you like it or not. But this kid, he fight anybody. Ellis doesn't give a shit. He will fight whatever you bring.
Yeah.
So I know we have a great fight and a great opportunity for both guys that is well deserved. I believe that Ellis, he doesn't deserve to be or to fight for a world title when doesn't give respect to the opponent and try to make the fight in a press conference that you're talking about Ellis versus Villa, and he tried to make Ellis versus Ennis.
Yeah.
That it was the first mistake. And my fighters say God doesn't like ugly, and it was ugly. That it was totally it misrespect my fighter and the whole team, and I believe he paid the price.
Yeah, I mean, he had that, like you said in the press conference, Rashidi Ellis had the back and forth with Jaron Ennis, and like doing that, you're not completely focused on who you have coming up at that time was going to be, last Saturday night in Roiman Villa, and Villa pretty much like, showed that, hey, you got to be ready for anything there in the ring, and that Villa, like I said, was ready for the full 12 rounds and worked like he was going to try to get to Rashidi Ellis there at the end, and it ended up paying off, and it ended up having him getting a decision victory there last Saturday night. Now, moving forward here, I know that you have a busy schedule coming up. I think it's like 2 of your fighters are scheduled to be fighting. I think it is January 21st, if I'm not mistaken. So you have that coming up here with 2 of your fighters. And I think they're fighting for, I think it's like a WBA international title in 2 different divisions.
That's correct. That is fighting the rated number 5 against number 7. Beside that, it be most likely the next mandatory to the champion Garcia. Garcia in this moment probably have a suspension for. I would say that if I'm his promoter, I would say 6 months or more after the fight with Davis. So I don't know if the WBA will do an interim title or it will put it on recess. Whatever may be the case, the winner it will go against Garcia.
Yeah, and that would be something there to see how that would kind of like sort out. And you said the thing there with the WBA. I know that they had their recent convention. I think that was in Orlando. I think they celebrated like 100 years of the existence of the World Boxing Association. So that's one thing that I haven't like necessarily looked into going into, because that is one of the, I think, processes or things that like people or boxing fans don't kind of like realize that promoters do in order to get their fighters in position to either fight for a world title or fight for fight in an eliminator bout, so that they'll be able to get themselves up in the ranks there as a fighter.
Yeah, but beside that, you have a session of you learn a lot about boxing, about medicals, about judges, referees. So if you're involved in a convention, you can hear and learn. Like this, you learn to know how Ellis lost the fight. If you go in one of these conventions, it will tell you that, and this is not only that, is how he finished. The last 6 rounds is the most important. Is when you start to recoup, even if it's close, like it was the 8 rounds, 2 judges you give it the other way. You know what I mean? So the point is that it's very important for the fans to go and enjoy all this convention, not only WBA, every convention, and it will learn, because the door is open for everyone. You don't need to be a promoter, and you don't need to be a management or boxer to be there. Only you can be there and be in any of the session of medicals, officials, and like this you can, educate yourself when you give any, say, who win or who lose on that fight, because you see it on TV or we see it in personally, but you have no idea why the judges is going one way or the other. Doesn't mean that every time the judge is right, but this time he was right. I can guarantee you that he was right.
Yeah.
He lost the fight, Ennis, and everywhere. The only thing is, again, sometimes ethnic group, he go for one, because it's his, identified himself. But I never do that. I come from a country in Uruguay that we don't have ethnic groups in my country. We are all have a red blood, you know what I mean? And I learned that way, and I understood the discrimination when I come to this country. And that is the most painful things that because I do have my friend from school in my country that till today is my friend, but I never know it was a black man. Because I didn't know,
you look at them as that, they're in Uruguay.
I sometimes I used to tell them, I go to the beach to have your color,
Right.
So, and I believe that, especially in Uruguay and Argentina, that I never saw any discrimination. And when I went to Europe, when I went to many countries, Asia, people, it's discrimination for either side. Or even when you go to Africa, you have a discrimination.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But the point is that, I love United States because he opened the door for me 50 years ago and 52 years ago. I'm an American citizen. I love this country, and I was recruited in one point to go to Vietnam. But the day that I was approved, he finished the war. So I was ready to give my life for this country. But the only thing that bothered me, especially because I have so many friends that I love so much, that exists discrimination in this country, that need to stop. It's not about white or black or yellow. This is the nature that become, in the 1800s, and that they keep till today. And this is horrible. It's the only thing I disagree. I don't talk politically, if I like this president or the other, but this is something that I will give my life not to happen this in this beautiful country.
Yeah,
that you open the hands to me.
That's the thing that kind of like, I know a lot of people kind of like say that this is the best country on earth, but having that discrimination and racism thing here in this country, that pretty much like is a big problem and has been for so many years. And we just have to progress and work harder in order to eliminate that here in this particular country. So maybe we'll have a few things that can be worked out in order for that to be eradicated here in this country and abroad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and on top of that, I have a great teacher. As a promoter, I believe he was the best promoter, but making mistake, but the best promoter. How to promote a fight, that it was Murad Muhammad from M&M Sport. I worked with them as a matchmaker, and he took me all over the world with them. And one day we in a fight, and he was a Muslim. He's a Muslim, and he was to start a speech against maybe 30 black men, 35. And I walk in, and everybody look at me, and he's like, what is doing this white boy in our meeting? And I never forgot when Murad Muhammad say, "This is my best soldier, and I want every one of you to give him the respect." And every one of these 35 men, he come and he hugged me and he gave me his respect. And beside that, he didn't know that even though I'm a Jew, I learned the Quran. so because I was living in my young age with a Muslim family, so I learned all that. And I can talk about the Quran, or I can talk about the Bible, or I can talk about the Torah. The three religions, I'm very aware of that. And this is the reason that my heart is bleeding every time I see on TV discrimination, not only for black men, for Jews, for Muslim, and for white people. But let's go